The story you're about to hear is true. Out of respect, the names have been changed, but the rest is told as it occurred. This is
Tales of Probate.
oh, hey, that was so scary. Oh, Bill, you're over there. What's going on?
I know you scared me. I was out of the room. I was so scared.
Especially because you know where this story is going, because this one is called "The Ghost in YouTube's Backyard." Oh, what is a scary ghost? Did we see one? Did we see a spooky ghost? We'll get to what the ghost is. A little bit later, but this is a positive story, and we'll get to that in just a moment. But I'm Brendan Moore, California Realtor and Certified Probate and Trust Specialist by the California Association of Realtors.
And I'm Bill Heyman. I'm a licensed California professional fiduciary. I'm also a licensed California real estate broker, a licensed realtor in Nevada, as well as a registered and bonded legal document assistant working in the probate world, registered in both Nevada and California.
Man, that was long. I could have taken 2 sips of water. Well, please like our video right now. Please subscribe to our channel. We have so much information and some very unique stories as well to tell, like this one. And every day we help people save thousands of dollars and eliminate big headaches with our one-of-a-kind probate administration service and real estate listing combo in both California and Nevada. So please reach out to us with any questions. Comment on this video. Our contact information is below. Please email us, text us, call us, because we can help you. Now, Bill, the ghost in YouTube's backyard. This is really a good story. I think this one details some. There is a cautionary tale to it.
There is,
but ultimately for us, it turned out to be a very positive one.
That's a very good story. Very positive twist on it, definitely.
I think this one details that why it's important to hire realtors who are very experienced in probate.
Absolutely.
And one of those reasons is because they can identify problems before they happen and work with an escrow company, an escrow officer who is very experienced in probate and seeing many problems in probate. Because there's certain things that we're going to talk about later in this one that tend to come up in probate sales that can come up in a normal sale.
Sure.
But I've never actually seen these come up in a normal sale.
No, it's the issue we're going to talk about, I think, is more common in probate sales than regular sales. I think so.
But this is a story of a great group of clients who understood the real estate market. They had great communication. They were decisive. They were very responsive, and they were very receptive. And it turned out very positive. Mm-hmm. So these are the type of people to be. So let's see. This was a case, and why we call it the ghost in YouTube's backyard, it was a 15-minute walk to YouTube's headquarters. So you're watching this video on YouTube probably. This was actually in the Bay Area, and it was like a 5-minute drive to YouTube, 15-minute walk. Lovely little area. And it was a large condo community, right? And I believe they were administrators, co-administrators, perhaps. No, there was one administrator.
Just one. Yeah, but one of the siblings was,
But like in a lot of cases, even if we're just dealing with one administrator, we're often dealing with a lot of the family as well. And in this case, I think we're dealing with 3 siblings. Maybe.
Correct. Right.
And if I recall correctly, this was somewhat of a long-lost relative of theirs that they really didn't have a relationship with.
They really didn't. They were... Not that they were estranged, but they just didn't really have much communication with this distant relative who passed away.
Right. Yeah. That's how I recall it.
Yeah.
And they did not live nearby.
No.
What? They lived, 3,000 miles away?
Yeah. The administrator, I believe she was Pennsylvania, I believe.
Somewhere on the East Coast. It might have even been even further than Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
But and you had met them. They came out, and you looked at the property with them. And what happened there?
Well, it was an interesting tour of the property because apparently the decedent had passed away in the condominium, and unfortunately she had been there for a number of days before they found her. And the condo was in it was in bad shape. It needed a lot of work, a lot of cleaning, and there was just a lot of cleanup work that place needed. Not in good shape.
But ultimately, they understood real estate. They asked you what they could do
They did.
to improve the value of the property without going over a huge budget.
Correct.
They actually worked with a
Yeah.
fairly small budget.
Yeah, I actually produced a list of suggestions as to what they should do to the condo to bring it up to spec, and I actually gave them a couple of options. One option was, going all out and spending a lot of money and really making the place look top notch, and the other was an option of what I thought they should do as a bare minimum. And they didn't want to spend a ton of money, so they went with the other option. And as you saw, it turned out pretty well.
Yeah. It still had some things where it had like this little kind of, I mean, it was a very small 1-bedroom condo.
Yeah.
And it kind of had this tucked away kitchen you might see in kind of an older apartment. And it had a popcorn ceiling. So there were certain things that weren't done, but it had new flooring. Everything was painted. It was light and bright, and some new light fixtures, things like that.
Yeah.
The bathroom looked good. So ultimately, they did a fairly nice job with it. I believe they put new countertops on the
I think so.
the kitchen counters.
Yeah.
It just wasn't very open, like an open concept that I think people like. But they did some good work. And ultimately, this is one of those situations that I like to talk to some of our clients in probate about, because a lot of times they're not in the area. Bill met them and gave them the suggestions, but I was ultimately the one who was marketing the property
Right.
and putting everything on the market. Had my professional photographer go out and do all that, market it, had the open houses held, was the one where the offers would come to me and do that whole thing. I never actually met them in person. We did talk on the phone. We actually met over Zoom, which we don't necessarily even have to do that. But all this was done basically over the phone and email, text. So they got everything ready and gave me the reins. Put that thing on the market, and we always like to market it for at least a week. Is usually what I like to do to give people a good chance. We have multiple offers.
We did.
And we actually really pushed the market over comparables, which I really liked.
Yep.
And it almost felt like we were really we were pushing the market. We were.
We got a very good price for this condo compared to others.
Yeah, it at the time there wasn't a whole lot of competition. I was looking at the comparable sales, but also what was on the market, and I said, I'm not looking at the comparable sales anymore. I'm looking at where we can push this and what is available, and we were quite a bit over the comparable sale pricing, and so that was great. And because the work the sellers did, it really polished it up to make that happen. But there was one thing, and we knew this before we went on the market, because when you work with a realtor who has done probate before, they tend to open escrow before the home gets on the market.
Right.
And one of the things I always look at is if there is a mortgage on the property. And I asked, and in this case, it was a small mortgage, but it was originated like in the 1980s. And there used to be, so when somebody pays off a mortgage in full, the lender sends them out, and at that time would mail them out something called a reconveyance deed. And a lot of the lenders would depend on this, would essentially be a letter like, hey, you need to record this with the county. Now, in most cases, the lender actually records that.
Records for you.
Records that for you.
Yeah.
But that essentially tells the county and everything that's on the title of the property that this mortgage has been paid off. Well, the mortgage has been paid off, but the reconveyance deed was never recorded.
There was no reconveyance deed.
I have a whole video on this. It's called What is a Reconveyance Deed? Something to that effect. It's further down our channel. And it is a big, big problem that cannot be avoided.
Yeah.
And if you're in a situation where there's a situation with a reconveyance deed, please watch that video, because this was a situation where I explained to our clients, basically there's a mortgage that shows on title. And it's like, it wasn't a whole lot, but $30,000, something like that.
It wasn't a lot.
Title can't transfer until that is cleared.
That's
and
right.
our client looked at it like, well, we shouldn't have to handle that. We shouldn't have to deal with that all. Can the escrow company just have it taken off? I'm like, well, no, they can't. They have to have they have to track down the bank and have them sign off on it. In this case, the lender no longer existed
Out of business.
and that's pretty common, especially when you're going back to the 1980s and 1990s.
Right. Yeah.
So the only other option there is what?
A bond.
Yeah.
You and the seller has to pay for a bond, and it can get a little pricey to do that.
Many thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they have to actually bond and basically insure against twice the amount of what that original lien says. So if it's at $30,000, they have to insure against $60,000, even if they have a statement saying that there was like a super low balance or something somewhere.
Yeah.
And again, in my video about deed of reconveyance, I go through all the objections that are pretty common.
Sure.
But yeah, in this case, they're like, well, we don't think that we should have to pay for a bond. So I'm talking with my escrow officer. My escrow officer, she's done so many probates for us, and we've seen the situation before. It was a needle in a haystack moment. So anyway, before I keep going, that's the ghost, by the way. The ghost was the phantom of the mortgage that no longer existed. I actually call them phantom mortgages. Is what I tell people. So that's our ghost in YouTube's backyard. So sorry to disappoint if you think that we saw a ghost. I don't believe I've ever walked into a probate property and felt, a spooky sort of thing. maybe a rat running across the floor in some of the ones we've been in. But yeah, so that was the ghost, and our escrow officer. We must have gotten her a great gift after this one.
Yeah, she deserved it.
Needle in a haystack moment. What happened was she did a bunch of research. She found that the note had been sold to a private individual back in the 90s. And that person was still alive. Found him. He was in Southern California. Talked to him on the phone quite elderly. Said, oh yeah, we'll sign off on that. She FedExed the forms to him. He had it notarized down there, FedExed it back. And we were good to go.
Yep.
We closed on time. It was a short escrow. We only needed because of notices proposed action.
15 days.
Yeah, we need 15 days.
Yeah.
I think we had something like a 20-day escrow. We closed on time, and they got well above what really the comp supported.
Yeah.
There was nothing crazy about it with inspections. There were no negotiations for credits, anything like that. Everything went really well.
The phantom mortgage was the only issue that came up, and again, I've said it many times, but having a realtor that knows probate and knows what to look for, as Brendan did in the beginning, checking out that mortgage that had been paid off, but it hadn't been properly reconveyed, checking that out ahead of time, and then also the importance of having a realtor who's experienced in probate, who also has a very experienced title escrow officer that knows what they're doing in probate, makes a huge difference, because most other realtors would have had to go to a bond on that, and escrow closing probably would have been delayed quite a bit, if not losing the sale.
Yeah. And our clients in that situation, they really have no idea how unfortunate they got.
No, they don't. But that's okay.
And because I've seen it, I've seen it a few times where they can't find a lender and it has to go to a bond situation. There's just really no way around it. But so that's why make sure pull the title report early and take a look at that.
You bet.
But your realtor should do that. And the best way to know if your realtor is going to do that is by asking them the right questions.
That's right.
So the video that you should watch next, if you're about to go through a probate situation, is how to hire a probate realtor. It's one of our most important videos. And in that video, we have 10 interview questions and the appropriate answers, as well as a downloadable list of all 10 of those questions, plus an additional 5 questions to ask. Yeah, bonus, big bonus. And you'll avoid problems. You'll avoid a lot of the potential problems in a probate real estate sale if you hire the right agent. And maybe we're that for you, because we work all over California. Anyways, please take a look at that video. It'll be linked next. It's going to appear right over Bill's face right here. Thanks for watching.